I'll see.
Hello.
Hi,
How are you?
how
I'm
are you?
good. I'm good, and you?
Good. Great to
Good.
see you. We're big fans.
Thank you, guys.
All
Thank you very
right.
much. Where are you located? Which city?
We are in Silicon Oasis. So,
In Dubai.
Dubai.
You're in
Yeah.
Dubai. Okay, so cool. So we're at the same time frame. Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Thanks very much for joining us. Welcome to the Ninja and the Gora channel. It's great having you here to speak to you and to learn a little bit more about you and your brilliant work.
Okay. So, first of all, glad to have you on the show. And our interest actually, we got interested in your work when we saw one of your pieces in Sharjah. And
Okay.
that was a couple of years ago. And actually, we
Okay.
did a recording of that a few years back. And
Okay.
yeah, I just wanted to ask, first of all, did you get any training with this artwork, or is it just all natural talent, or are you self-trained? So where did all of this graffiti start?
I didn't study art and even calligraphy. I didn't study it. So it was I started painting. I've been painting since I'm a kid, and graffiti came a bit. I mean later when I was 16 or 17, 98. You know, but I was not really serious about it. It's later on when I start using when I discover Arabic calligraphy that I really start focusing myself like super seriously into art and graffiti in general. But I didn't study calligraphy, so I don't call myself calligrapher. You know, in Sharjah, you know, you have those school of classical calligraphy, and to call yourself calligrapher, you need to learn calligraphy from a calligrapher who learned it from a calligrapher, and then it goes on like that for 1400 years. But I mean that's not, I don't, yeah, it's more like a kind of organic evolution. You know, I start because I didn't know at the beginning there was rules. I just played with the letters without knowing it, and then it's later actually that I learned there was rules into Arabic calligraphy.
Okay.
Did you get into trouble for tagging anything when you were a kid?
What did you say?
Did you get into trouble for tagging anything when you were a kid?
No, you know, I was not really. Well, I remember the first time I painted on a wall, there was my neighbor who came out from the balcony, and she was screaming at me, saying that you know, she was going to tell my mom. But for me, it was you know, I never thought that it was illegal or vandal. You know, I was like, okay, I went and I bought my spray paint, and then there was this gray wall, you know, like where I used to live, and so I painted it, you know, thinking that I was just bringing color to it. And then later on, a friend of mine told me that actually we cannot do this. And then when I was, you know, when I get back to graffiti, I actually like around 2007, 2008. I was doing illegal piece, but not vandal piece. You know, I was looking for like abandoned factories, you know, places where nobody knows, but not into doing trains or like painting in the street. I was not interested by this. It was mainly for me creating a piece of art in a place where you're not supposed to find it, you know. And I love the spirit of the abandoned place, you know, because you go inside it and you feel there's a spirit, a soul, you know, because somebody abandoned it, you know, like when you see a factory that was open for years and then it's closed, you see so many stuff that has been left, and I kind of like that. And then I remember I was in Montreal back in the days, and there was a factory actually that became almost like an outdoor museum for me, because most of the walls were painted by myself, you know.
Wow.
So did you? What was your work like back then? Was it, you know, was it still letters and words, or was it more pictures?
You know, when I get back, to be honest with you, I really came back to calligraphy in 2007. I started learning how to read and write around 2000 in France, and then 2004, that the first time I saw somebody doing calligraphy. That's where like this interest came to me. But the funny part, you know, I have like some tags in the street, for example, in Tunisia, still that are still there from '98, and you know, I was tagging in English, you know, in French or English, and on the I used to write, you know, LC, I used to write SCID, and the dot of the I used to be a Hamza, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't know, like I think there was this influence from the beginning, you know, but I didn't really felt it. And and then when I came back to graffiti, because I stopped, I actually I mean I used to be a business consultant. I used to be a supply chain manager in New York, and then I was a business consultant in Montreal in supply chain management. And that's where I really felt actually that I was losing my time doing a 9 to 5 job. And there was a friend of mine called Est. Est1 is a French graffiti writer that I met in Montreal in 2007. He said, like, look, let's come back, come paint with me. And Est actually was using, he used to write his name Hest, but shaping them with Arabic letter, like he used to put 2 dots on top of the E and stuff. And then I was like, I would love to come back to paint, but I want to get into I don't want to do like English or European graffiti. And I was like, I really want to bring calligraphy into it. And that's how it started. And when I started doing my first graffiti in Arabic, I felt it was so natural, like the flow was like so smooth. And then it just evolved organically, like since then.
Mm. So obviously you could speak Arabic.
Yeah.
Did this go on at the same time?
I used to speak Tunisian dialect, and then and we used to speak that at home in Paris, and then we used to go to Tunisia every summer. But it was like more. I decided to learn Arabic because I think I was kind of lost between two identities, and growing up in France, I felt I needed to choose between being French or Tunisian, and then I chose to be Tunisian. But later on, like digging deeply into Arabic culture, I realized actually I didn't need to make a choice. Like I was a product of two culture, like, and then more subculture, I would say. But it was I think Arabic calligraphy allowed me to reconcile my identities, and so that's why today I use that as a way to create those bridges.
Actually, we had that question on the cards for later on. We were saving it. So you were a third culture kid, and you did make an effort of going back, and you just said that it kind of evolved organically, and it came back to you.
Yeah.
So, but how far are you in that journey to kind of rediscover those roots? How far do you see yourself?
I'm over it today.
Okay.
Like, I think you can notice it in my work. If you go back to my work 10 years ago, it was a lot about identities and getting back to your roots and carrying a tradition. I used to have some words, so I used to write that on walls. Right. And now, like, it's more actually so back in the days, I think Arabic calligraphy was really a kind of statement, trying to state and affirm the fact that I was Arab. I remember some walls used to I painted in 2009, I think, one verse from a poem from Mahmoud Darwish that says "Sajjal ana Arabi," and today I don't think I would do that, because I mean, like, I have it. Back in the days I needed to affirm that. Today I think I think I made peace, with this quest of identity, and so I think I noticed, when I think I knew I made peace with it, I think it was 2013, because I bought the French soccer team jersey, something that I would never do. I will never the French team jersey before, like, even if you paid me. And I think, like, it was just, I just liked it, and then I bought it, and I was wearing it, and then I noticed, I was like, I think there's a switch in my mind that made me do this. But now today it's not, I don't speak about identity. I'm not into this kind of being a cultural ambassador. I think I moved to a phase where now Arabic calligraphy is just a tool. You know what I mean? A tool. I mean, I use it as a pretext, like to live those kind of human experience, a pretext to bring people together. And when I say I think I evolved this, because I don't have to, for me, I am above this kind of, I would say, like, this Eurocentrist hegemony, where, like, you need to translate everything, where and I think people, and I think it's a perception thing. We believe that maybe in the West, people won't accept Arabic script, and me, I realized that, I'm more, I painted more, like, out of the Arab world than in the Arab world, and that's what is interesting, so I think it's that's where I am today. Maybe, like, in 10 years I will be in a total different mood, but today I think Arabic calligraphy is more like a tool, today, that I use, to create those kind of, to switch perception on subject, and yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I think with this is one of the questions that I had. It's led on really well. With the lack of translation now, it means that people who don't get Arabic might sort of miss the message, and the way your message is so intricately woven into your canvases, if you like. It might be difficult for them to get the message too. So for you, which is more important, the message or the image of it?
Look, Andy, I think there is few. I see my work as different layer. So I think the first thing that intrigues people is maybe the aesthetic. So people will look and say, "Oh, I like it," or "I don't like it." Most of the time, when somebody like it, will ask, "Oh, this is Arabic." So aesthetically, they know. I think the Arabic identity, you have it, and then the next question is like, "Oh, is it did you write something?" And that's how I distinguish myself, from this Arabic calligraphy movement called Hurufiyya, which was only playing with letters with no meaning. So me, I say, yes, there is a meaning, and I give the meaning. And then the third layer is like so the first layer is the aesthetic of the piece. The second is the message. And the third layer, I think, is the political or social context of the piece. For example, I don't know, when I was, I did a piece, on the border of North and South Korea on the DMZ, and I made a 60-meter sculpture on the fence, and this is Arabic, but the message is more important than the fact it's Arabic, because the message is a poem from a geographically North Korean poet who passed away in 1934. So before the separations, he was not North Korean, but he used to live in north part of Korea. And he wrote a love poem that was called Unable to Forget. And this poem became a folkloric song in South Korea. And this poem was a love poem, but put in the context of today, it was fitting perfectly, with this fence and this area. So I think for me, it's more like an invitation for people to my culture in a way, but the meaning, I think it's a second thing, it's not the most important thing. And today I look at Arabic calligraphy as more as music. For example, there is so much. Grew up in France, I didn't speak English, and I used to say that we used to listen to Michael Jackson songs and we used to dance on them, and now nobody has any clue of what this guy was saying. And for me, that's the thing, that's the power. Arabic calligraphy has a melody, and it reaches the soul, before the eyes. So I think that's the power of it. When you see, and I think it's mainly because of the rounded shape of it. Like Arabic calligraphy is more like Arabic script in general is more like an organic script. When you look like a Roman letter L is like, it's it's a human intervention. You never like a right angle in nature, and I think that's why for me, maybe for people not, but I guess there is it touches the soul, and this approach also was not didn't start like that. The first time I said I'm gonna stop writing the meaning was also to fight this kind of I think what I was trying to look for my identity. I had this kind of like this weird fight that sometimes kids have, saying like, when the West become the evil. And so I'm like, yeah, why should I translate? You know what I mean? So I stopped translating, and then after I was like, no, actually, the thought behind not translating was wrong, but the act of not translating, I think, is interesting today.
Yeah. That kind of reminds me a little bit of Dylan Thomas. I don't know if you're aware of him. He's a Welsh poet. Okay. But he used to write his poems for the shape of the sound of the word. Okay. I always found interesting, and I think that with what you've said there, your work may be similar in the way that you don't really need to decipher it to fully enjoy it. And I've always said that I think that art is music for the eyes, and so yeah. And so would you say that maybe yours is poetry for the eyes?
Yeah, I would say that like that. I think it's it's poetry because like when you put the translation or the meaning, for example, on a piece, you lose the poetry of it. Because your eyes just focus on what you can decipher. And also for me, it's a way to make a statement. Calligraphy is not typography. You know what I mean? So, yeah, and also when you look at the tradition of Arabic calligraphy and classical calligraphy, people used to put secrets. For them, it was like a kind of secret message. And they're like, we don't want to reveal everything.
Yeah.
We put it, and then you need to take time to decipher it. And I think that's the power of it. Because it's me. I love when people can decipher it. They ask me, "What did you write?" And I say, like, I give them the sentence, and they're like, "Okay, I can see it." I mean, like when it's a big piece, most of the time people they say, "I can see it," but I know they're bullshitting me. But I mean, when it's a small piece, yeah, I know. Like people like say, "Okay, I see the lamb, the scene, the fa." So it's that's how I see it today.
Mm.
So you mentioned that you moved away from that internal struggle of cultural identity. So what is the message of your art today, and how have you been able to change people's perception overall?
I don't. People always ask me what is the message behind the work, and I think it's. I mean, I would say like there's a purpose. I say that art for me is a pretext. To meet people, to highlight the community, to engage, or maybe a pretext, to talk about a cause. We did that more recently, during the Zoom time, during the COVID time with the Zoom project, and it was it's I would say like the purpose, yeah, it's to bring people together. I say, it might sound cheesy like that, because that's something that a lot of people use today, but I felt it. I did project and I really saw it in front of me, and I also saw perception changing in front of me. And I give a simple example. When we did the project in Egypt in the garbage collector neighborhood in Cairo, they call these people, and the neighborhood they call it High Zabalin. The neighborhood of the garbage people. Okay, and me, I was using this word when I was there. I was like Zabalin, Zabalin, the people of the garbage. And one day, one guy like told me, you cannot use this word. Our real name is Zaraib. Zaraib means the pigs breeder, because before collecting the garbage, they were like pigs breeder, and they used the pigs actually to recycle. Why they developed the most powerful recycling system in the world? Because they use as well their pigs to recycle organic waste. And then I start using Zaraib, And then when we launched the project, when we made the world know about the project, I insisted on that Zaraib. And then one of the biggest newspaper in Cairo after the project, he wrote an article about it, about the project. And the journalist used Zaraib and not Zabalin. And for me, the perception changed. And I think for me, that's enough, that's how I can say, okay, the project was successful in a way.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, I noticed. I watched your the making of, if you like, of the Manshiat Nassau, and I noticed that your work really sort of it brings the community together as well, doesn't it? So does that change you as an artist, and if so, in which way?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I wrote two books about two projects we did. Last Words in 2000. We did the project in 2013. We launched the book in 2014, and Perception, we launched the book in 2018. And the project was made in 2016. And actually, in both books, I explained that, like that. Me, I left a trace, like a physical trace when I painted there in those places, like in Egypt or in Tunisia, for example. But actually, those people, they leave a trace in my life, in the trace of in the life of my team, because actually most of the people, I would say like 90% of all the people that I met around the world, I'm still in touch with them. Not there is some like I'm in touch with them like on a weekly basis, some like after like once or twice a year just to say hello. But I think of course definitely there is an impact, because you go to places and you realize how people live, like it changes your vision on the world. When you see those people, how they work and how they live, you're like, they're so strong, to be honest with you, and they were like and so welcoming, and most of the time is in the place where people have the less, that they give you the most, and I painted like in Paris, for example. I remember I was doing this huge wall in Paris for 10 days. There's not even one person who offered me like a cup of water. You know what I mean? In Egypt, for example, we were like, I've been invited to their family's wedding, so I'll go back to Egypt. I mean, I was supposed to go in March, but with the COVID, it was a bit tricky. But after 4 years after the project, I'm still in touch with like most of the community, most of the people we met. And that's how actually they affect me. Like the project we did in the refugee camp in Lebanon, same. Although the project had an impact because it was like more like a kind of, I don't want to say charity, because it was not just charity. They worked, those women. I painted 7 walls in the camp, and they reproduced the walls into a Palestinian embroidery, and then we sold them during Art Abu Dhabi. We raised almost $70,000 for them, and that's not charity because those women, they're working, you know what I mean? And the people who put the $70,000, they bought a piece of art, they bought a piece of embroidery that they took 4 months to create, so it was just like tijara, like a commerce thing, a business thing, and same, I left my trace there, so I'm like, okay, my work is there and there. But I think what is cool is the fact that you meet people from different places around the world, and for me, that's the most amazing part, being able to interact and then to enter, it's not just how you say, like, you just pass, like you come, you stay, like, and you have like this kind of long-term relationship.
Well, it is. I mean, your stuff is it's whereas your traditional artist will sell a painting and it will hang on someone's wall and then it might go to someone else. But the way you work, it means you become part of that place.
In a way, yeah. I mean, me definitely. I mean, that's I don't want to say that's the purpose, but when everybody tells you, oh, be careful, do not go there, and then when you're there and you realize, like, for example, Cairo, I invited him to the wedding. I say, come. Hello, can you hear me? Yeah. I say, come to the wedding. And he came, and he was so surprised. He was like, I don't even understand, how did you make this? Not about the art piece. It was like I feel like you infiltrate these people, like you came and you feel like you grew up in this neighborhood, he couldn't understand. And I think I'll give you another example. Since 2016, I think we went back maybe at least twice a year there, So last time I went was last July. And 2 years ago, I think I was there, and then I posted some video on Instagram, some stories. And then I see some people in Cairo saw that I was there. And there is 2 kids, who do calligraphy, who wanted to meet me. So I didn't respond to their message. I didn't see it. And then like, you know what? I know the guy is in Manshiat Nasser, so we're going to go there. And then I see a tuk-tuk coming inside the neighborhood. Me, I'm like down in the neighborhood in the streets. And then I see a tuk-tuk coming, and then I get those 2 kids. And they're like, hi, let's see there. Nice to meet you. And I'm like, how these people knew I was here? And those guys at the entrance of the neighborhood, they say, we're looking for Fauzi, El Cid. And there they know me as Fauzi. And I don't know how those guys knew me as Fauzi. And the guy found me. He's like, Fauzi, yeah. I know which part of the city he goes. And then I told them, I said, guys, okay, sorry. I told them, go to the church. I will meet you like in 1 hour. Because I didn't like this intrusion thing. It was so intrusive because for me, like, so many people ask me, please take me there. I want to see how is it, and I didn't bring anybody. I don't bring anybody. I brought my friend for the wedding, and that's it. But otherwise, it's I don't want to become like a tourist guide, and show, hey, look at those people, they collect the garbage, and even we produce a documentary about the project that will be out this year, and the documentary, like, it doesn't show anybody in the garbage. That's a choice. I decided as a director, saying I don't want to see people in the garbage, because it's about perception, and I don't want the perception to be altered, I would say.
Yeah, it's an incredible piece. One of my favorite stories is the guy who stopped you working on a piece.
Yeah.
It originally commissioned you. Is that right? And then he stopped you halfway through.
No, actually, it was, like in south of Paris, there is a little village that was not bought by Disneyland in the 80s when they built the Disneyland Paris. Okay. It's a small village, I think. I don't know how many people live there. And one gallery in France, actually, the owner of the gallery, his grandmother used to live in this village. And so one day he met the mayor of the city. He said, look, like if you want to attract the people, the visitors that go to Disneyland, to your village. So I don't know, the cafe can work, the bakery, the restaurant. I propose you to create a kind of outdoor museum. So as a gallery, say me, I will bring the artist, make sure you give me walls, and then I bring them. So there is one resident of the village. He said, like, yeah, this is my wall, paint whatever you want. So the owner of the gallery was like, okay, you come, this wall is for you. So I started painting, and then I think after 1 or 2 hours, the owner of the house was coming back to his house, and when he saw what I was painting, he got so mad, and he asked me to erase this shit. Like really, he was really mad actually, and so I had to repaint it. We painted everything in white, and then a week later, I was still in Paris. The guy called me back. I said, look, there is a wall that belongs to the city that you can come and paint. I was like, okay. So I came back, and the wall that belongs to the city was right in front of this guy's house. So that was the funny part. And that's how I thought I would write, on your face, and I wrote "Open Your Heart" instead. And today, I hope I'm planning to go back there to visit him, with a hidden camera, to see.
So you'll get to see how open his heart is.
Yeah, no, I'm really intrigued. I want to see if actually art has really kind of, like this invisible power. If you have something that in front of you, at some point you will have like an effect on you. So I don't know. For me, it will be amazing if the guy say like, yeah, I'm sorry, I remember.
Yeah.
That would be so cool. But if he say like, yeah, I mean, like, yeah, I don't want to talk to you. I'm sure he's gonna be that. I see like this kind of French people, opening the door like that just with one eye.
That's what I've just remembered. You mentioned about the 2 books that you're bringing out. You've just released another one on PDF, haven't you? That
coloring.
Oh yeah, it's a coloring book. I mean, that was just for the COVID, for the people, so they can at least enjoy.
Yeah,
it was cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, idea. It's going to sort of maybe encourage kids to sort of emulate you or be inspired.
Yeah, I think you have even not only kids, also adults. I think the adults were like the most happy about it. They're like, oh, that's so cool, and but we took time to release it. It was really like actually like since early April, and then we had the Zoom project and stuff, and sometimes you just get caught up in stuff. But yeah, I think it's important in this time to share with people.
Yeah. How is it affecting you? I mean, you must have been asked this a million times already, but how is it affecting you?
I mean, it affects me in the fact that we had some projects that were cancelled. I had a show that opened in Miami on March 10th that, like just stay open. It was supposed to be open 3 months, open like for 3 days. We had a project in Toronto that as well has been postponed. One piece I was supposed to do a project in Paris, same, and so I would take it easy, like there is just try to be I mean, it gives me a lot of time to think, and reconsider stuff and reorganize myself, organize my team and stuff. So it's yeah, I'm not gonna complain. I think it's this time is a kind of luxury. If you live in Dubai, I think it's I think we can call ourselves like lucky, because I don't think people have like the same like we have like a health system that can allow if you get sick, I mean, I don't think people will just let you die like that, but so I don't complain about it, and I think this time was I actually I was super positive about this time. What I miss, yes, it's the family and stuff, but more than that, I enjoy staying home.
Yeah.
I see, apart from you as an artist, I think when one's very creative like this, they have a lot of outlets in them. They like to write and poetry and art. So what are your other art forms that you enjoy as a person?
I cook, so
Okay.
yeah. No, man, I'm serious. Like even today, like I feel like newspaper today in the UAE, they don't have anything more to say. Like nothing is happening, So they have like a full page of me in my kitchen on Al Khalij.ae. So like man in the kitchen, and I don't know. The woman she asked me, yeah, we're doing something about artists in the kitchen, and I'm like, me, it's not because of the COVID. I say like my kitchen is an extension of my studio. I've always been cooking, and I love this. But except of cooking, I would say, I wish sometime I would have time really to sit down and if I could be able to write. When I write perception, or even lost words before, I think I really enjoyed it. I that's something I really enjoy, and I don't think I will write a book one day, but I I like to project myself, and I think writing allows me to bring all the feeling that I have at one time, like smell and then sounds and stuff. And in perception, actually, you feel it. I tried to put because it was really visual and sensorial. It was the smell. So for me, it was how can you manage to? Actually, it's more than just it was visual, sound, and smell. I mean, this experience in Cairo was everything. So for me, it was being able to translate this into words, and that's why it took me a lot of time actually to write this book, almost 2 years. I started and stopped and started again, and I think that's something I would love to develop. But one day I would love to make a movie as well.
Right. Yeah. So there's a lot of art forms in there.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. Yeah.
So I think what comes through a lot from your work and what you've been saying is that words are very important for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So how do you think, is there anything in your childhood or anything that love developed somewhere? Maybe literature, reading literature at school, or somebody influencing you early on?
I cannot recall any memory about this. I used to read when I was a kid. I think like most of us. I mean, most of the time because school was imposing that on us, mainly in France.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think today I look at words as a beautiful tool. Like there's so much power into words. You can change the life of somebody. You can make somebody so happy with a word. You can kill somebody with a word. And that's. And that's such a powerful weapon,
Yeah.
or a powerful tool. So it depends on how you want to use it, and I think they carry so much, and that's why there is so much weight into it, and it depends on how you articulate them. And I think that's how I try to put the weight of words into my painting in a way. It's
yeah.
That's how I see it.
That's
but
very.
I don't.
Yeah. Sorry.
But no, I don't recall any memory of
Any influence.
Yeah, I think it was like more an organic evolution,
Right. Yeah. But that's very interesting what you just said, because a thought just occurred to me. Do you feel like that across languages, or is it just
in which way?
Arabic medium, or?
But this is funny because I write in I paint. My art is in Arabic. I speak English, French, and Arabic, but I write in French.
Right.
Yeah.
So
I work in English. I produce my work in Arabic, but for example, if I write, I write. My books, my 2 books, I wrote them in French, and then we translate it into English.
Yeah.
So for me, that's I don't see the barriers as well, and I think it's I don't know who said that to me. I think it's my wife. I'm not sure. Like you master language when actually you dream in this language. But me actually, I noticed when I pray sometime in English. So and I was like, I surprised myself. I'm like, what? you know, so you make a dua in English. Oh, please God, give it. Like,
Maybe it depends on what you're praying for.
On a personal note, and again, because words are important to you, your name. You started off with a lowercase e, and you give it an uppercase L.
Yeah, so my name, actually, the name first comes from a French play called Le Cid, of a French writer called Corneille, and a French teacher was telling us, El Cid, Cid means the man. You know, the Cid come from the Arabic word Al Sayyid, which means the man, the master. And then I was like, yeah, I'm the man. You know, I'm the master of the street. You know, so I called myself El Cid. I was 16 at this time. And then I think for me, like writing it a small E and capital L was more like a visual thing. You know, aesthetically a big E and L, like it looked like an E, was not nice. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I might sound like a teenager, you know, like when they like to put like 8 and numbers and underscore in their name, you know, on Instagram, you know,
but it stuck with you. So is your birth name different?
Yeah. My real name is Fawzi Khalif.
Oh, Fawzi. Okay, so yeah, that's what you were referring to earlier. Okay, cool. I actually didn't know that. Yeah. Did you?
Yeah. Some people think my first name is L and my last name is Sid. And some people think my name is Fawzi Sid, you know, in Tunisia, because Sid is like a big family in Tunisia. So some people think I'm from this family, you know, so people call me Fawzi Sid, you know, and
I think that's roundabout. Yeah,
we've troubled you enough.
Yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you.
Definitely.
thank you very much.
Fabulous talking to you. Really interesting, and thank you so much for your time. It's
our pleasure. Thanks you for your interest.
Thank you so much.
Talk to you soon.
All right, we'll keep in touch. All right. Thanks a lot.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye. Thanks.